Okay, now we start our meditation. We can break ourselves, sitting comfortably on the floor. You can sit cross-legged and put your back straight. Close your eyes and put your hands resting on your lap. And make sure that all the part of the body now relaxed. When our mind and body are calm and relaxed, we can start our attentions to put our attentions toward breathing out and in as an object of our meditation. Just be aware and mindful in the breathing out and mindful in the breathing in. Whenever the mind wandering, come back, standing the breathing out and in. This is what we train in our meditation to be here and now with our breath out and in. Meditation continue. Yes, we can. Our meditation. Sabisata Bhavan Dispita, may all beings be happy.
Dengan Dhamma Deswana dengan membacakan Aradana Dhamma Desana di buku biru halaman 46. Brahmacaruta Dipati Sahampati Kata Jalina Diwara Ayacata Santi Dasata Paraja Pajatika Dese Dhamma Anukam Bimam Pajang Brahma Sampati, sang penguasa dunia beranjali seraya memohon. Di alam semesta ini ada makhluk-makhluk yang memiliki sedikit debu di mata mereka. Ajarkanlah Dhamma demi kasih sayang kepada mereka.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Kalena dhamma sakata etam mangalam uttamam. Discussing the teachings of the Buddha in the right time, that is the blessing, the highest blessing. Okay, today, yes.
Everyone speak Indonesian.
Oh, really?
Iya.
Indonesia.
Bahasa
But
Indonesia.
I think it's okay. You can say English because perhaps later you will upload somewhere else, and then you also can understand what I'm trying to say. At least those who cannot speak Indonesian, they can understand. Right? As of today, I would like to not just to give the Dhamma talk, but somehow I have to give answer and question and answer. And I will start with actually yesterday, someone is asking me about one point of Dhamma, and this is about what is actually the way how to attain the Buddhist sainthood, especially the Sotapanna. Because nowadays, I think in the Buddhist society, like in Indonesia, many Buddhist people are wishing to attain Sotapanna. I don't know whether in Australia Australia also the same. Also wish to attain Sotapanna, but in Indonesia, many Buddhist people really wish how to attain Sotapanna. And actually, the attainment of Sotapanna as well as the other Buddhist sainthood, even Arahanta, we have to understand that all these can be attained by the same way, not different way. Because now some people think perhaps that the attainment of Sotapanna will be different in terms of the way or the practice is different from how to attain Arahantship. But somehow the path or the way to attain Sotapanna is just the same, no different. And that is what I mentioned from the very beginning about the Four Noble Truths. To attain the Nibbana, and then, of course, to attain Sotapanna until the attainment of Arahanta, one should understand and penetrate the Four Noble Truths. One should understand fully the truth of suffering. One should abandon the cause of suffering as the second truth of the God of the truth. And then one also should realize the cessation of suffering and should practice the path, the way leading to the cessation of suffering. That is the noble eightfold path. Just the same, not different. And that's why actually we also have to remind ourselves, because sometimes when we wish to attain Sotapanna, sometimes when we see within our mind, actually there is a kind of defilement there. The wishing of attaining Sotapanna is like noble wish, but sometimes it is being associated with the defilements of mind. Because I think for the Buddhist people understand, the attainment of Sotapanna brings about one benefits. That is, one will not be reborn in the lower worlds. Sabtu Apaya, the four lower worlds. The suffering, the world of suffering there. So sometimes without, being aware, actually someone wants to attain Sotapanna just in order to continue the pleasure, to get reborn in the heavenly world, and then to get the pleasure, not to really get rid of these cycles of rebirth, just to continue this sensual pleasure.
And
Because,
avoid being reborn.
Yeah, just avoiding from this suffering because of the lower rebirth, and just to continue the pleasure to get reborn in the heavenly world. So that is actually these defilements of mind, not really the noble wish. Because that's a person who really wants to get rid of this suffering, want to attain at least Sotapanna, it's also necessary to have the so-called nibbida. Nibbida is a kind of disenchantment. Disenchanted with anything, any conditioned thing, the five aggregates. Not only just disenchanted with the lower rebirth, but also even disenchanted with the heavenly world. Not to have a wishing to be reborn in the heavenly world, because that is also the defilements of mind. So anyone who wants to attain not only just arahantship, even the attainment of Sotapanna, also needs to cultivate, need to develop this nibbida, this enchantment towards anything, any conditioned things. And this is also what we have to understand, to remind ourselves whether our noble wish is really, this is free from defilements of mind, or it is still because of want to avoid this suffering, just to continue the pleasure. Because heavenly world is full of pleasure. So because want to get the pleasure, and then want to attain the Sotapanna. So this is also what we have to see in our mind, ourselves. And again, that's I need to emphasize that the attainments of the Sotapanna should be attained by means of understanding the Four Noble Truths. And to do that, of course, the Buddha also have given some requirements, some factors that are necessary when a person wishes to attain this the first Buddhist sainthood. And the first, we also have to have this Sappurisa Samsevo. We have to always associate with a good person, with a wise person. And only by associating with the wise person as the first requirements, and then the second requirement will be attained there. That is that we are always listening to the Dharma, especially the Saddharma, Saddharma Sawana. That is the real Dharma, the real teaching, which brings about this Nibbana. So the association of with the good person, the wise person, is very important. And especially even in the one discourse that's normally we read while like today we are having this chanting Mangala Sutta. There, even the very beginning, when the Buddha was asked about what is the highest blessing, and the Buddha said that ase vanatsa balanam, not associating with the fool, with the bad person. Panditanan sasevanam, associating with the wise person, pandita. So pandita or wise person is the same as sappurisa, the same as sappurisa, the good person. The persons who has understanding about the teaching and also practicing the teaching, and also the persons who can motivate others to practice the teaching, to practice the Dharma. And that is the good person, that is the wise person. And therefore, this Sappurisa Sangse was the first requirement is very important, especially if we want to get rid of this rebirth, this suffering. So we have to associate with the good person, the wise person, the Pandita Sappurisa. And associating with this good person, the second factor, second requirement will be obtained. That is listening to the Dharma, especially listening to the true teaching, the Sat Dharma Savana. If we just associate with anyone's, with the full person, the bad persons, instead of getting, listening to the true Dharma, but what we listen is actually something misleading. The teaching, the doctrine, which is actually misleading us. So therefore, we have to associate with the good person, and then the second requirement also will be obtained, that is listening to the Dharma. What is the Dharma? Of course, here, regarding this, the Four Noble Truths, we have to understand, we have to again and again listening to get the full understanding about the Four Noble Truths. And of course, we also have to listen about the Patisa Samuppada, the dependent origination, especially the 12 factors of dependent origination. That's also we need to understand theoretically, and then we need to understand how to, because when we are talking about this, the first 12 factors of dependent origination, that means those are the causes of suffering. So understanding that this is the causes of suffering, so we have to get rid of the avijja, the samkara, and so on. You have to understand what is the correlation between, for example, avijja and samkara. I think you can understand. Avijja, what is the avijja? The non-understanding of the Four Noble Truths. That is avijja, not understanding the suffering, the cause, the cessation, and the path for destroying the suffering. Non-understanding of this Four Noble Truth is avijja. And because of this avijja, a person always does various kinds of action. Sankhara. Sankhara is the formation. But here, there are three kinds of formation. The Vachi Sankhara, the verbal formation, that is the action, the karma. The karma related to this the verbal action, the Vachi Sankhara. And then the Kaya Sankhara, the bodily formation, the action related to this body, like killing, stealing, that is, those are the bad action. And then again, the Manu Sankhara, the mental formation, the action related to the mind, the three kinds of actions. And according to Abhidhamma, I think you already learned Abhidhamma, perhaps. So these Sankhara are related to 29 consciousness, which are actually the karma. 29 consciousness, which are producing the fruit of karma. Those are the karma, the action, like the 12 bad karma, the bad action, 12 kinds of consciousness rooted from lobha to samoha, and the 8 kinds of consciousness, mahakusala, and then the 5 kinds of consciousness related to the 5 jhana, the rupa jhana, and the 4th one, the arupa jhana. the kind of consciousness. So 29, all those are the karma. And now the question is that why this avijja brings about the karma. And the karma or the sankhara is not just only the bad karma, bad action. Even here the sankhara produced by this avijja, rooted from avijja, is also pertaining to the good action, punya visankhara. So the action, the deeds which are good, not bad, like dana, practicing morality, even the meditation, those are sometimes coming from this avijja. Not understanding about the craving, for example, not understanding about the suffering, and then people are just doing the good action just to get the pleasure. So that's why I mentioned earlier that even we want to attain Sotapanna, but actually within our minds, we want to get the pleasure. This is because of the avijja. Because we want to get the pleasure, we want to continue our pleasure, and then we do various kinds of good action, meritorious deeds, punya visankhara, just to get the reward in the heavenly world. To get rid of from the lower world, but somehow we want to get reward in the heavenly world just to get pleasure, just to continue our pleasure, our happiness. And those are actually the avijja and sankhara. Because of avijja, not understanding about the suffering, because the complete understanding of suffering is not only just, we get the painful feeling and then consider it to be suffering. Not only that, even the pleasure itself is also suffering, because these are not impermanent. So we see that the heavenly world is also suffering. And because of this non-understanding about the suffering, people are just doing various kinds of actions, including the good action, the punya. And even not only just punya visankhara, aneja visankhara, which is connected to the attainments of jhana, especially the arupa jhana. And this is a very high jhana, very high concentration, arupa jhana. And that arupa jhana itself is also, if not, understanding about this, the Four Noble Truth, also actually coming from this avijja. Because avijja, the non-understanding of the Four Noble Truth, not understand about the suffering, and people just practicing this, meditation, attaining the jhana, arupa jhana, and those actions are due to this avijja. And this avijja and sankhara, the karma, are also causes for the suffering. And we also have to understand that. And this is a very profound actually. But somehow, the so-called Saddharma, the true teaching, is related to this, the Four Noble Truth, as well as Paticca Samuppada. And Paticca Samuppada cannot be separated from these Four Noble Truths. Because Paticca Samuppada, especially the 12 factors of the dependent originations, are the detailed explanation of the suffering, of the cause of suffering, and the cessation of suffering, the detailed explanation. So these cannot be separated. After we are listening the true Dhamma all the time, what we listen, what we hear is only about the Dhamma, and the third requirement, the third factor will be gained in that factor of attaining Buddhist sainthood. And the third factor is the yoniso manasikara, the wise attention, attending what is good, attending something to the point that by attending a certain object, certain experience, certain phenomenon, the defilements of mind is already arisen, is abandoned, while those which have not arisen yet do not arise. And while the good things which has arisen yet will be increasing, will be growing, and the good things which have not arisen yet will arise. This is how the attention, the yoniso manasika, the wise attention, is actually will be gained by means of this listening to the Dhamma. When we listen to the Dhamma all the time, and then naturally what we think, what we attend in our mind, our essence is the good attention, the wise attention. We are not attending something bad. Why we attend something which actually increasing our development of mind? Because our mind is not filled with the Dharma. Our mind is filled with the bad thoughts, the negative thoughts. So that makes our mind is not having the wise attention, just bad attention, just thinking the bad thing, thinking something negative things. This is because of we think of the Dharma, we think about the Dharma, so we also will attend something good in our mind. So what we get here is that wise attention, Yuriso Manasikara. And last time I mentioned about the one discourse, Sabbasava Sutta, that I tried to explain while in the Western campus, right?
Yes,
Yeah, in the night.
Western University.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Western University. And they are mentioned about the one discourse, Sabbasava Sutta. Actually, this discourse is all about the wise attention. There are 7 ways how to abandon the developments of mind, and that 7 ways are actually the wise attention. So wise attention, attending something which by means of that, the developments of mind which already arisen will just be abandoned, and those have not arisen yet will not arise. That is the wise attention, and that's because we always listen to the Dharma, to the teaching. So listen to the teaching, also we think about the teaching. So our behavior will be in line with the teaching, with the Dharma. So this is the wise attention. And with this wise attention, the 4 requirements also will be gained. That is a Dhamma Nudhamma Patipati. That is practicing in line with the Dharma, practicing the Dharma itself. We can say that when we have this wise attention, that itself is the practice of the Dharma. So when we have this wise attention all the time, that means we also live in accordance with the Dharma. So these 4 requirements or 4 factors are leading us for the attainments of Nibbana, for the attainments of, I think you asked me yesterday about the Sotapanna. And we have to develop these 4 things. This one is Sakulisa Samsevo. We always associate with the wise person and the good person. And then by associating with the wise person, we also get the second requirements. We listen to the true Dharma. Because only the wise person can keep the true Dharma, not unwise person. When we all the time listening to the Dharma, thinking about the Dharma, that itself is the wise attention, the third requirement. We always having this wise attention, careful attention, appropriate attention, not to let the mind is filled with the negative thought, but always, having the good thoughts, the positive thoughts, the Dharma. And then by means of that, we also actually, by itself, practicing the Dharma. That means they live in accordance to this teaching. And these 4 things ultimately lead us to the Nibbana, attainments of at least Sotapanna. Not in this life, but perhaps in the future, that will lead for the attainments of Nibbana. I think this is the answer for the question yesterday. Quite long. Okay, perhaps another 1, 2, 3 questions or so you can ask.
Maybe I just would like to ask further questions, Bhante, regarding the last week's talk about, but of course, it's about the meditation or the mindfulness is not just when you sit meditation or when you just walk meditation, but it's all the time. Mindfulness since I wake up, close, I open my eyes, it's always in mindfulness on until I go to sleep. So does it mean that also that includes we need to pay attention or watch out for those 5 hindrances. Yes. So is that right? Yeah, Bhante?
Yeah, actually, what the Buddha said, there are many kinds of mental qualities that we have to develop. One of the mental qualities called jagara. We have the name in the monk.
Yeah, the Bhikkhu yesterday. But
Whenever jagara, right? Jagara.
it's
The term
Indonesian.
jagara means wakefulness. So the Buddha said that in this practice of mental cultivation, we have to be always wakeful. From the time we get up from the sleep until the time we are going to the sleep. So all the time, as long as we are not in the sleeping, and then we always be wakefulness. And what we have to do in this practice of wakefulness or jaga or jagaru, that is the nominative form, jagara, yes, the wakefulness. We have to be always, seeing our mind, checking our minds, whether our mind is filled with the hindrances
Yes.
or not. That is what the Buddha said. Whenever the mind is filled or overcome with the hindrances, one or when the possible hindrances come to our minds, we have to get rid of as soon as immediately that when that hindrance rises, we have to immediately get rid of. But if our mind is free from hindrances, and our mind is really filled with the good thoughts, like the calmness, the equanimity, and so on, we have to develop that. We have to maintain that. So checking our minds and trying to get rid of these deformants of mind and deformants of mind, and try to maintain and developing what is good, that's the wakefulness. From the time of getting up until the time we are getting sleep. Yeah, this is what we have. We always check and recheck our mind. This is what we have to do. Of course, while checking our minds, not only just we need that mindfulness, but also I mentioned also we need the wisdom, understanding, because the mental quality that understand what is happening now, especially whether this is a good or bad, so wisdom, the understanding. Mindfulness is only just to detect. Mindfulness is only just to bring our mind here and now, to understand what is now, what is now happening. But the understanding will understand this is right, this is wrong. And not only just the mindfulness and understanding, we also need to have the effort, the virya. So when the mind is filled or overcome by the defilements of mind, we need to have the effort to destroy it immediately, to eliminate. And when the mind is filled with the good thoughts, the skillful, wholesome state, and we have to maintain it. We have to develop it. And that is the effort. Effort of developing what is good and effort eliminating what is bad. So this mindfulness, understanding of wisdom, and effort, the right effort, should be there while cultivating our mind from the time of getting up until getting sleep. So this is what we have to do. And that is the explanations of Jagara, the term Jagara is given by the Buddha. To be wakeful all the time.
So it's the same as Indonesian word jaga, yeah, means.
Yeah, correct. So really from the term Jaga, I mean, it's like the term Jaga in Indonesia is perhaps coming from this term Jagara. And even like Jagat.
Jagat, okay.
Jagat, this like universe.
The Cakrawala,
Cakrawala. So Cakrawala is from the term Cakrawala. Cakrawala is Indonesia.
Yeah, universe.
Universe. Cakrawala. But in Japanese language, we also have the Jagat. Jagat Raya. Jagat. Because something that we are waking up, so it's like terjaga. Actually, many Indonesian terms and Javanese terms are coming from the Sanskrit or from Pali. Many of them.
Yeah, Bante. So I heard about ganda.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
aroma. Yeah,
Ganda.
it's Japanese that and
Yes.
coming from Pali, straight from Pali. Yeah.
There's even in our body like mukha, the same vacha, face,
Thanks. Okay.
and then in Jawa also we have, sirah, the head, sirah sanamani. So we worship by the head, sirah,
Mm.
the head, sirah. Yeah. Okay.
Kalau orang sudah sotapana, ini ada yang nanya saya sebelum tahun depan. Kalau orang sudah sotapana, bagaimana orang itu tahu? Orang
Dia harus tahu.
Dia tahu.
Harus tahu dong. Kalau tidak tahu,
Berarti belum.
berarti belum.
Oh, dia tahu sendiri.
Tahu, harus tahu. Jadi kita pernah diskusi. Silahkan masuk aja. Ya. So actually we already discussed with some monks.
Yeah.
And yesterday I think before yesterday I met one Sri Lankan monk, and then he told me about one monk from Sri Lanka.
Was it the one on Sunday, Bante? Last week after
Perhaps
this, and then you went to another vihara called Dhammawijaya Vihara? Was it the one?
no, it's different. Actually, that monk is now in Sri Lanka, but time to time also he come here to Australia to conduct meditation.
Oh.
Bhante Santacitto, the most known Bhante Santacitto. Actually, when I was in Sri Lanka, every holidays I will be going to the forest, in his forest temple. And once we were discussing about whether the Sotapanna, after attaining Sotapanna, we realize that he himself already attained. And the discussions by Bhante Santacitto tell us that this is about, something very great. Even suppose we are on the top of the mountain, whether we realize we are aware that we are on the top of the mountain, of course,
Yeah.
and that is a very mundane thing. This is a supramundane, so we have to understand. We have to see by ourselves. If we really attain this kind of supramundane attainments, we must know that we already attained. That's what happened. Because even in, for example, in Abhidharma, when a person attains Sotapanna, they have to such a person should
Contemplate like abhinha paccavekkhana, like what defilement.
Actually, yes, of course, but such a person should pass the two things, the two moments, that is the Magga Pala.
Yeah.
And Magga and Pala means Magga and Pala, Sotapati Magga and Sotapati Pala. And the path, but here the so-called Magga is the moments where the three fetters are destroyed. And the Pala is the moments of the fruit. So these should be experienced by the Sotapanna. And after that, there will be the Paccavekkhana, the contemplation, what was just happening. And then he came to know, so just what was happening is as a destruction of the three fetters. And then still remaining the seven fetters that not already abandoned. So he should know by himself that he already attained Sotapanna, not by others. Because if others telling that you attain Sotapanna, but still, whether I am attaining Sotapanna, that is not attaining Sotapanna. He should know by himself.
Yeah.
The three fetters.
The three fetters is the first Sakkaya Ditthi, the view on self. A person who attains Sotapanna, even in one moment, already realized the Nibbana, already sees Nibbana. So by seeing this Nibbana, the view of self is abandoned, but not the thought, not the perception. because the thought on self only be abandoned by the anagami. But even the anagami is still having the perception of self, a very subtle one. Only the arahant already destroyed even the perception on self. But for this Sotapanna, only just the view on self is abandoned. The view whether this body is self is abandoned, because like us, we have the very strong, not only just perception or thought, but even the view that we have the assumption that this body is ourself. So that when we get kind of beaten by others, and then we get angry because we think this is myself. And sometimes we also kind of having assumption that there is self inside our body, right? And some occasion, perhaps there will be arising the assumption that there is this self is something within, something very big, inside something very big, the big self. It can be like that. And that Sotapanna, the assumption, the view on self is already abandoned totally. And the second, the Sotapanna is also abandoning Sila, Bhata, Paramasa, attachment to a Sila and Bhata, Sila and Vata. But attachment here is not because some people, if you abandoning the attachment, Sila and Vata, what is Sila? The moral, kind of moral, kind of Sila is moral simply.
Morality, yeah.
Morality kind of the precepts, like the precept. Also the Vata, ritual, right, and ritual. But the meaning of this Sila, Bhata, Paramasa is that when we are practicing this kind of the precept, practicing kind of vows or kind of ritual, and then we get defilements of mind. We attaching in terms of, defilements of mind. But if that morality, if that precept can, little by little, slowly destroy these defilements of mind, that is not Sila, Bhata, Paramasa. So that's why the Buddha said to once asked his disciple, Bhante Ananda, the question is that whether all the Sila and Vata or all Sila Bhata are good, not bad, but the question whether the all Sila Bhata are good. That is the Buddha asking to Bhante Ananda, his disciple. And what the Bhante Ananda said, if the Sila Bhata brings about the destructions of defilements of mind, that is good. But if Sila Bhata brings about the increase of the defilements of mind, that is bad. So Sila Bhata Paramasa is how we are practicing the precept and so on, but the defilements of mind increasing. And that is what actually, be destroyed by the Sotapanna. Coming to the temple, that is not Sila Bhata Paramasa. Because we come to the temple, we are perceiving the Buddha, and then we get our mind becoming calm, our mind becoming equanimous, becoming still, and there are a lot of good thoughts coming to our mind because we reciting the chanting, the sutta, the discourses, and that is a good thing. That is not the Sila Bhata Paramasa. And sometimes even the Buddhist people mixed up with this. They think that, oh, I go to the temple, that is Sila Bhata Paramasa. If I do like chanting, that is Sila Bhata Paramasa. That is not what it means. And the third one is that Vicikicca is destroyed by the Sotapanna, the doubt with regard to the Four Noble Truths, because at least the persons who attain Sotapanna, who actually really understand the Four Noble Truths, not only just understand, even penetrate the Four Noble Truths. The penetrations of the Four Noble Truth is that in that very moment, especially the Magga time, the moments of Magga, the truth of suffering is fully understood. The truth of the cause of suffering is destroyed, abandoned. And the cessation of suffering is realized. And in that very moment itself, the path leading to the cessation of suffering is developed. And that is being penetrated by Sotapanna. So the Vicikicca, the doubt with regard to this Four Noble Truths and also Paticca Samuppada, with regard to the past, present, and future are abandoned. Past, present, future, what it means here is that such a person understands whatever things in the past is actually rising and falling. And what is rises and falls, actually the suffering. And what is impermanence and suffering cannot be properly regarded as mine, I am, myself. So a person who attains Sotapanna really having very great libido, this enchantment. Even such a person doesn't, quite different from others who still want to be reborn in the heavenly world. Of course, that kind of be still there, but somehow not really like, like common people really want to get reborn in the heavenly world just to continue the pleasure. Because such a person already have the libido, this enchantment, is enchanted toward anything. That is three factors. Okay. Perhaps one more satu lagi kalau ada. Yes, silakan.
I'm curious what you say about the sila and the ritual. The ritual I can understand because if you too attached to a ritual and then you then don't like the other people ritual, that I understand. But the sila is the one that I
Yes, it also can lead to the attachment, For example, I think as a Buddhist understand, the so-called killing is bad, right? It can lead to the attachment. And we can see when we go to somewhere else and then we see like the animal sacrifice, and then we get angry, If we get angry, oh, this is not good, this is a bad, and then we go in there and then so telling this and that with the anger mind, with the husband to those people who are doing this animal sacrifice, that because of attachment,
That's easy. Yeah.
right?
Right.
So therefore, the Buddha remind us, even the Dharma, even his teaching should be considered like the raft. What was that raft? The boat, the boat.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
raft.
Just for the sake of crossing.
Yeah.
Crossing the river,
And we
crossing
have to
the
communicate
ocean,
that, yeah.
not to hold,
Yeah.
not to attach. We are using this precept. We have to practice this. For example, you as a lay person, the 5 precepts, you have to practice it. But at the same time, you also have to remind yourself whether you have the attachment or not, because the attachment that itself is a defilement of mind. It can be the sila bata paramasa. If you don't be careful, if you are not careful about your mind, it can be the sila bata paramasa. So all the teachings of the Buddha, even the sila, samadhi, and later on even the panya itself, should be just like a boat to cross the ocean, to cross the river, but not to attach it. That's what the Buddha said in one discourse. Ala Gatu Pamasuta. Yeah, you can find there. Yeah.
In order to do that, I mean, you have to have the right view. Right?
Yes, of course.
If you have the wrong view from the beginning,
Yeah.
it's very hard.
Yes, correct.
So it's just how do and let me refresh the point. If we know a person has wrong view, what's the best way or what's the
Of course, if that person is our friend, we have to try to correct it, right? What if that person is perhaps not, we don't really know him, and then we just if we have the time and then we can correct it, but we don't have to necessarily, and then
Yeah.
correcting all the people around us,
Yeah.
because that's very difficult. But if he is our friends, perhaps our family, and then we also have the duty to correct them in the right time. Because sometimes in the wrong time itself, sometimes we are not correcting but making problem. Yeah, get angry and then just quarrel. So the right view is very important. So the Buddha said the right view is the first thing, the
Mhm.
first thing that we have to have. In the practice of this noble effort path, the first that we need to have is the right view. When we have the right view, and then our way of thinking will be right. The right thought, sama sankappa.
Mhm.
When we have the right view and right thought, our speech also will be right. And then our bodily actions also will be right. When our speech and bodily actions are right, and that itself, naturally, our livelihood will be right. Because the so-called livelihood is about the speech and bodily action. When the speech and bodily actions are right, so our livelihood also right. When our mind, our speech, our bodily actions are right, so that itself is the right effort. If all the times, we just, protecting our mind, bodily essence, and verbal essence, so that itself the right effort. If all the time we just attending with this right effort, that itself is right mindfulness. And that is what the Buddha said. And when we practicing developing these 7 factors, and by means of that, our mind becoming focused, our mind becoming calm, becoming still, that is the right concentration, sama samadhi. So the right view is the first that we need to develop, we need to understand. Yeah. Okay, anyone perhaps?
Can I ask one last question,
Yeah.
Bhante? Definitely after that you
Yes.
can. So going back to the questions previously about the attainment of Sotapanna. So going back the story that that we mentioned last week about Patacara Teri.
Yeah.
So when she attained the first sainthood, the stream winner, which is the Sotapanna, because the Buddha explained to her pretty much about Four Noble Truth, right? And she realized it for Four Noble Truth immediately. She realized it right away, right? It's not the
Yeah.
Buddha who actually told her, "Look, you already attained Sotapanna." No, she actually
Yeah.
realized it. Oh, my defilements, my gross
Yes,
defilements have
Because-
gone. Yeah.
Yeah, that moment is not necessarily very long, in that very short time, but she understand. The developments of mind, at least the 3 feathers are abandoned. In the times of the Buddha, many disciples of him attained Sotapanna, attained Arahantship, in the times of not, sitting with the cross-legged meditation, but in, various kinds of activities, by listening to the Dhamma, while, walking, and while seeing something, and that happened, that they could attain liberation, attain Sotapanna, and so on. Because the attainments of that sainthood or liberation or the distractions of developments of mind can happen in a very quick time. Very quick time. So likewise, when, for example, the Patachara attaining the Sotapanna at the time, very quick time, while listening to the teachings of the Buddha, in a very quick time, and then she just destroyed the 3 fetters in that very moment. And then she understood by herself, the 3 fetters are abandoned. But somehow she also understand there are some other fetters, some other developments of mind are still remaining, that she needs to make an effort. That's why, and then she became bhikkhuni,
Yeah.
and practicing in a very diligent way, ultimately attained arahantship. Yeah.
Thank you, Bhante. Yep. Clear?
Just want to
wondering is regarding about this Patajara, is there anywhere the explanation why he has so much suffering and then lost with so many? What did she do in the past?
What
that is-
mistake
Yeah,
he
I-
did so
I
that she
never
makes such a
read.
turn?
Perhaps
Yeah.
there is there, but somehow I never read about what she was doing in the past. But somehow it can happen because whatever what we experience now, also because of the past action, it can be. But that's okay. Just a little suffering and then a little of fun.
Very suffering, Bhante. Very, very
I
suffering.
think that is a little suffering. Because as the Buddha said, when we see our uncountable past lives, we have already experienced a lot of suffering. So whatever suffering that we see, that what we heard, we already experienced before, even before, even suppose we are thinking about the hell, the hellish suffering, that being burned in a very hot fire like that, and then boil in a very hot water like that. According to the Buddha, we all have experience in the past. Actually, already experienced. Only now, because now we are as a human, and then we don't experience. But somehow, in the past, we had already experienced. That's why, if we have the faith in the Buddha, and then that what the Buddha said is actually true, and we need to have this unity, this enchantment. So whatever does we experience now, this also just don't pass away. And what the suffering that already heard, already seen by ourselves, those also already being experienced by ourselves in the past. Perhaps once you see one, like animals being eaten by others, being eaten by others, that kind of thing also already experienced by us in the past. So now we have to stop. To stop, not to continue our pleasure, but to stop just to, get rid of all this rebirth.
So one thing, we don't know, like, according to Buddha, it's very hard to be born as a human. So we don't know how many
Yeah,
people that we will pass, maybe they were animals, I don't know.
yeah, it is very hard to the point that in order to be reborn as a human, actually we also need various kinds of meritorious deeds. We need the accumulation, the big accumulation of meritorious deeds. That means now we are reborn as a human being because of our merits in the past. So we have to appreciate. But the thing is that we have, if you want to continue this kind of the pressure, of course it's okay, but you have to do a lot of, again, meritorious deeds as much as possible. And now we are still alive because the so-called death will come at any time. I think yesterday I mentioned this to Bhante Jagar. About 2 weeks ago, actually, yes, around 2 weeks ago. Almost 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. We have a very, very good friend, lay person, but it's very good, because even he was helping us, helping me actually to build one kind of, one temple for the Kuti, local Kuti he built. And we still have the plan to be like the meditation center and so on. But it's very good, and also having a very good understanding about Buddhism. Not just, kind of a narrow understanding of Buddhism, but very profound teachings of the Buddha he could understand well. And then time to time he also talks about the death, the preparations of the death, because the death will come at any time. And yesterday, for example, actually, we can say today actually, he want to call me Like he just text me and then want to call me. But then because in that day I was very busy attending some students who go to, many Buddhist sites in Java, in Central Java. And then I thought of myself, okay, tonight I will call him. But then I just returned to temple very night, in the midst of the night. So I thought of myself, okay, tomorrow I will call him. And in the morning around 10 o'clock, I called him. And the ones who accepting my call is his son. And then he told me that his father just passed away. Because yesterday he wants to call me because still very healthy, and but then after that just one night, and then it just the news coming, he just passed away. And that can happen, very shocking. Such a very healthy person and very energetic, having a very good understanding. But this is a fortunate thing because he understands well the Buddha's teaching. That is a fortunate thing. And also, again and again telling about, preparation of the death, and we have to prepare ourselves whenever we have to face the death. So we have to let go everything. He just mostly tells about that. And that happened just, he died in a very sudden way. Very sudden because it just, there is no any sign that's even in the morning, and then that person also telling to his wife, why this Bhante Santacitto normally after giving the text and then he just telling call, but it's so very, very long. He doesn't call me, what happened? And then his wife said, perhaps he's busy. Yes, I was busy at that time. And then after that, then he just cleaning on the yard. And then found passed away. They have like heart attack. I don't know. So this is what happened. The death will come at any time. So we have to be ready. And we have to spend our life doing the good things. Now we are still alive, so we have to do the good things all the time. We have to protect ourselves, our mind, our verbal actions, our bodily actions. We have to protect. Because at any time, we can just go to another world. Okay.
Cukupkan
Yeah.
sampai sini dulu ya.
Enough, yeah, okay. If you want, maybe after Bhante, after the puja, then if you want to ask questions again, then you're more than welcome. Yep.
Have until about 1:30.
Yep.
1:30,
Yep.
Bhante will go Iman.
Oh, yep. True. Yep, true. Perhaps one. So, yep. Okay.
So we thank you, Bhante. Again, let's express our gratitude to Bhante for sharing the Dhamma with us by bowing 3 times. I will chant the Okasa and then the rest will reply this Om Padang Bhante. Okasa
Wandami Bhante.
Abhivadana Silisani Chamuda Pachayino Sattharu Dhamma Vadanti Ayuvanno Sukhanga Bala. Yeah, thank you.